April 22nd. How we doing? April 22nd, 2026. Had to take some time yesterday, get some personal stuff taken care of. Real busy time right now. Spring and everything, getting seeds ready, getting planting stuff, getting it ready. So today I want to get right into it. I want to talk about spiritual warfare. And I prepared this, so I will be reading it, but probably put captions on the screen for this one. And then when I post on Facebook or whatever, I'll put the actual what I'm reading here up. But this is a really important one, especially with all of the evil things that's going on in the world right now, and protecting ourselves from it. And being aware of it really is the most important thing, is to be aware of what's going on, what produces anxiety, how to deal with it, things like that. So, and this is kind of long, so I'm going to just get right into it. Spiritual warfare is one of the most misunderstood realities of our time. Many hear the phrase and imagine dramatic scenes, monsters, or something distant and mystical. But often spiritual warfare is far more subtle than that. It happens in the quiet moments. It happens when fear tries to become your identity, when anxiety convinces you tomorrow is already ruined, when anger becomes addictive, when envy poisons gratitude, when lust reduces people to objects, when pride isolates you from correction, when despair tells you nothing matters, when distraction keeps you too numb to think, pray, reflect, or grow. Important, huh? That is warfare. Because the battle is not always for your body. It is for your mind, your attention, your habits, your convictions, your peace, your soul. We live in a time where many forces profit from confusion. There are systems that benefit when people are divided, industries that thrive when people are addicted, algorithms that reward outrage, which I call the anger rhythm. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but you could put a really nice positive video out and get like 6 views, but you put something real hateful and negative out there and it goes crazy, hundreds of thousands of views. It's called the anger rhythm. Anything that upsets people, anything that gets people under the skin, it gets a reaction out of them. So when you get a reaction out of them, the algorithm isn't good or bad. It's just gauging reactions. And the more reactions, the better. So it promotes that stuff. So it's important online that you don't reward the algorithm. If you see things in your feed that you don't like it. And don't dwell on it either. If you see it and you go, I don't like this, then flip it. Keep scrolling fast. The things that you see that you do like, you can train your dragon. You can train your feed. The things that you see that you do like, you want to make sure you like. You want to make sure you comment on that stuff. You want to make sure you're telling the algorithm that this is the kind of stuff I want you to find more of for me and promote it. And by doing those little daily habits every day, you can train your feed, and it won't show you all of this nasty stuff that a lot of people are like, I don't know, my feed is so screwed up, it shows me all of this stuff. And it's like, well, your feed is adapting to what you spend time on. So if you're spending time on that stuff, then it's self-feeding. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, there are systems that benefit when people are divided. We know that, right? Industries thrive when people are addicted. Algorithms that reward outrage. Voices that monetize fear. That's your clickbait stuff. Cultures that celebrate excess but ignore emptiness. When a person is spiritually weak, they're easier to manipulate. That is why discipline matters. That is why truth matters. That is why prayer matters. That is why community matters. Scripture tells us in Ephesians 6 that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, rulers, and forces of darkness. This means the enemy is not simply the person across from you. Sometimes the real enemy is what has influenced them. Sometimes the real enemy is what has influenced you. So how do we fight back? Not with rage, not with panic, not with becoming dark ourselves. We combat spiritual warfare through alignment. You tell the truth even when lying is easier. You protect your mind from constant poison. Guard what enters your eyes and ears. And this is like what I was talking about training your dragon, your social media feed, and all of that. Remove habits that weaken you. Pray daily, even when you don't feel like it. Forgive where possible, so bitterness cannot root. You don't want to stew on things. You don't want to let things slide. If something, made you mad about something, then speak up. You don't want to just let it go, because that stuff builds, and don't ever expect that other people can read your mind. They can't. They really don't know what the hell you're thinking unless you tell them what you're thinking. Now disrespect is something different. If you told somebody, hey, I don't really like you making comments like that about me, could you please stop? And then they disregard that and do that anyway, well, that's disrespect. You handle that a little differently, okay? But don't expect people to read your mind. If you didn't make it known that something was bothering you, then it's kind of your fault for not making it known. See here. Build your body because weakness invites collapse. Serve others because selfishness shrinks the spirit. Stay calm in chaos because peace is power. Keep faith when circumstances try to train you into cynicism. You do not need to be perfect to win this battle. You need to be aware. Most people lose because they never realized there was a war happening. Every day you choose truth over deception, discipline over indulgence, courage over fear, gratitude over resentment, faith over despair. You reclaim territory. Some of you feel pressure right now and don't know why. You're tired, restless, pulled in 10 directions, spiritually dry, emotionally reactive, disconnected from purpose. That doesn't mean you're broken. It may mean you are under pressure and being called to wake up. This is the season to tighten your life. Simplify your habits. Return to prayer. Return to principles. Return to what is clean, honest, and strong. Darkness is loud. Truth is often quiet. Quiet things can be very powerful. A man kneeling in prayer. A woman rebuilding after heartbreak. A person choosing sobriety. Someone refusing revenge. Someone keeping integrity in a corrupt place. Someone staying kind in a bitter world. That is spiritual warfare too. And that is how darkness loses. Stand firm. You clean your life up. You guard your mind. You strengthen your spirit. You help others when you can. You may feel alone in the fight. You are not. I'm here with you, and we will get more into this in the coming days. We're going to break these things down piece by piece. I'm going to develop a plan to do some long format stuff, some 20-30 minute format stuff, and really dive into each one of these. Today I wanted to cover the full thing, spiritual warfare, and just bring it all up. So something you guys can be thinking about. If you have any questions for me, leave me some comments or whatever. Let me know what you would like to know more about. We're going to get into angels. We're going to get into the Nephilim, the giants. We're going to talk about demons. We're going to talk about exorcisms. There's some podcasts out. There's some really interesting stuff about this stuff, and I'm not sure that hardly anybody knows anything about it. And the more you know about it, the better off you'll be. As far as the Iran conflict, I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know. I stand by my previous statements. Things are not looking good. Nobody's coming to the table. Shit's getting bad. It ain't getting better. That's for sure. So, regarding the April 16th video, I believe it was, go back and watch that if you haven't seen that yet. April 16th video. That one, I discuss short-term and long-term effects on this oil disruption issue. It's coming. It's coming, guys, and there's not a whole lot any of us can do about it other than prepare and brace for impact. You know what I mean? The ones that are completely unprepared are going to be the ones that are going to be hit the hardest. All of these storms can be weathered by keeping the faith, by, you know, preparedness, and you know, just stay aware. Like I said in here, spiritual warfare, the number one thing is to be aware of things when things trigger you. Be aware of how you're training your dragon, all of that stuff. Other news, sun's kind of quiet right now. There is a comet passing between Earth and the sun, and that should be happening, I believe, the 24th or 25th. Now, I haven't looked into how big this comet is, so sometimes when we get comets that come through like this, there can be some kind of electromagnetic coupling, kind of is the best way to describe it. There could be some stuff that happened, and it could actually induce a solar flare. We've seen this happen, documented many times in the past, so, you know, we're going to be keeping an eye on that stuff as far as the space weather goes. What else? Oh, some big fights going on with these data centers and this AI. I'm gonna put a report together for that too real soon. We're gonna dive into passive cooling systems. Why do they need all of our fresh water to cool these things? It's because they're using evaporative cooling, and it's because it's cheaper. Okay, there are better, more efficient designs out there to cool these data centers, that they can use closed loop systems, and they won't use hardly any water. Okay, there are ways for them to do it. There are ways for them to run non-potable water through them systems. They would need to clean them, but you know what? Let them clean that water. Why don't they take non-potable water, make the data center clean that water before they use it in their pipes and their passive cooling systems? So there's smarter ways to do this without draining entire communities of water, like what's happening in Texas. We're seeing Rage Against the Machine in real time here. There is protests. There's problems in Maine. There's issues in Idaho. There's issues with these data centers, and it's because these people that are building these data centers do not care how much water they take. They want the cheapest deal to build it the cheapest as possible. Evaporative cooling is the cheapest, but it wastes a lot of water, and me and you are going to have to suffer that. We're humans, okay? We need that water for drinking. We need that water to grow our agriculture, our food. So we don't need to be using it for cooling stuff just so that they can save a buck. Make them spend that buck on passive cooling systems. It's going to be a big fight in the next coming months here. And wherever you're at, you're going to want to get well informed on this. That way that you can say your piece at the county meetings, at state level, or whatever you got to do. Like I said, we'll get into that we'll get way deep into that on another day. That's pretty much all I got for you guys today. Love you. Be good out there. Stay aware. Stay prepared. Talk to you soon.